Being that it is now 3 o'clock on Monday, June 15th, I would like to call into order the Board of Directors' regularly scheduled meeting. Could we please have a roll call?
Director Meyerhoffen, Director Martin,
Here.
Director Sewell,
Here.
Vice President Griffith,
Present.
and President Duff.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum.
And we have received no requests for remote attendance from Director Meyerhoffen. So we will move to Pledge of Allegiance. Director Martin, can you lead us, please?
Sure. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Martin. Counselor, could you please read us into the rules of procedure, please?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure that have been adopted by the Board of Directors, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. All questions and remarks should be addressed to the president as the presiding officer. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on that subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. And just as a reminder, the board has adopted a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And that'll bring us to the public input of our agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit these comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on items not listed on the agenda. Do we have any speakers today?
Yes, I have one request. Julie Casserly.
Welcome, Julie, please.
Good afternoon, I'm Julie Catherine. I'm here today to speak on the ID8 consolidation effort.
Julie, can you please speak into the mic?
Better?
No.
Usually I'm too loud. Oh, the red should have given it away. Sorry, I'll start again.
Again, thank you.
Julie Casserly, Sky Valley. I'm here today to speak on the ID8 consolidation effort, Resolution 2026-03 that you all voted on at your April 20th board meeting. I wanted to get onto the record the fact that the CVWD board voted 5-0 on a 3-part motion. 1, to rescind the letter of intent issued to you by their general manager. 2, to stop any further effort to move forward with the consolidation of the ID8 district. And 3, to make clear that this kind of action requires approval from their board. We advised you at the 420 meeting that the CVWD board did not approve the letter of intent you were using. Yet you still voted 3-2 to adopt the resolution, authorizing your general manager to sign and execute agreements and necessary supporting documents with the State Water Resources Control Board for the consolidation of the CVWD ID8 domestic water system, and submitted a $50 million grant application with that letter. Your general manager and his assistant were at the 527 meeting where it was voted on unanimously to rescind that letter and to stop this effort, but it has not yet appeared on your agenda to rescind the resolution formally. We want to make sure this effort by Mission Springs is stopped and no further action will be taken in this regard. Our community is still pretty shaken over the lack of concern your board exhibited in this matter. You were clearly made aware that there was no vote from the CVWD board supporting moving forward with the consolidation effort, and that their general manager acted independently of the board in issuing the letter of intent. You did adopt this resolution 3-2. We offer a sincere thank you to Director Martin and Director Meyerhoffen for listening to our concerns and casting their opposition votes. In light of that, we're concerned that a formal public board action has not yet been taken to rescind that resolution and withdraw the grant application. That needs to be taken, and we would, hope that you will correct that and vote on it. Thank you.
Thank
Not
you.
even 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any comments from the public today? Any other?
I've had a few last minute attendees. So if there's anybody currently online that is here to make public comment, please unmute your mic. Madam President, it doesn't appear that there is anybody online for public comment.
All right, so this will be last call. Are there any members in the room that wanted to speak? No? Okay. So with that, we will move forward. We are going to go slightly out of order in respect for the employees who need to get back to work. So we are going to take Human Resources report ahead of our closed session. And if we could, please, General Manager, proceed with the Human Resources report.
Absolutely, President Duff. I will ask our Human Resources Manager, Oriana Hoffer, to present this item. Oriana?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. We have an exciting report for you today with several accomplishments and milestones to celebrate. This month, we are pleased to welcome a new team member. We recognize a milestone anniversary and highlight 2 employee educational achievements. First, we are pleased to welcome Daniel Lopez to Mission Springs. Daniel joins us as an engineering technician too. Daniel brings more than 6 years of experience supporting public sector engineering departments. He possesses a strong technical knowledge of engineering practices and valuable hands-on field experience. Here to say a few words about Daniel is his supervisor, engineering manager, Eric Weck.
Thank you, Oriana. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. You know, Daniel Lopez brings over 6 years of public works experience in various roles, ranging from the city of Indio, the city of Desert Hot Springs, and the city of Hemet. Daniel jumped into the engineering department with both feet and is actively being trained by engineering staff on the various procedures and processes that we have. He's fitting in very well with us. And Daniel is a Desert Hot Springs native and brings a valuable perspective on the city, which will be beneficial to the district. As a side note, I've worked with Daniel personally when he and I both worked for the city of Indio several years ago. I can personally vouch for his work ethic and his ability to remain calm and collected, which will be needed in the engineering department, and under pressure. We all are looking forward to working with Daniel, and we're very, very thankful that he's here. Here to say a few words is Daniel Lopez.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. General Manager Macy, President Duff, and all here. And also thank you, Mr. White, for those kind words. So I am incredibly grateful to join the Mission Springs Water District team. Since joining, I've met so many great people who take pride in their work and also in the community they serve. And I would like to thank the engineering department, as they have made me feel like part of the team from day one. I'm thankful to learn so much from such talented individuals. And just my sincerest thanks for the opportunity to be part of such a great organization. So thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Next, we are pleased to celebrate Joey Macaron's 5-year milestone anniversary with the district. Joey continues to help his team streamline operational tasks, whether it be physical improvements to the plants or sharing with other operators the skills he has learned along the way. Joey's supervisor is out of the office today, but here to say a few words about Joey is lead wastewater treatment plant operator Andy Granite.
Thank you, Oriana, President Duff, members of the board, General Manager Macy. So 5 years, Joey's been with us, and I'm very proud to have him on my team. He's one of those guys that helps me out in certain ways when it comes to certain things we do. There's a lot of areas where I fail in how I do stuff, and I can lean on this gentleman right here, even with his 5 years experience with just here, but with his past experience and all the other jobs he's had. He comes with so much different knowledge that helps all of us out and helps all of our teammates, even everyone at the district. As someone who actually lives in Desert Hot Springs right now, he cares a little bit more than a lot of people do when it comes to making sure that we're actually doing the right thing on that. So I really respect him as a person, and I appreciate everything that he does for us here too. So I'm hoping to keep on working with him and continue to learn together with him as we both grow and advance our technology and our experience in the wastewater industry. And Joey, I really appreciate everything you do for us. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So next, we are pleased to recognize David Peña for earning his Distribution Operator Grade 3, D3 certification. David continues to excel in his lead role, and this achievement reflects his dedication to professional development, technical expertise, and commitment to operational excellence. Here to say a few words about David is his supervisor, Water Operations Superintendent, Jeff Nutter.
Thank you, Ariana. Good afternoon, President Duff, members of the board. First, I just want to say congratulations to David Pena for achieving his distribution 3. I know he's been working hard to get that, and it's a good accomplishment for himself. It's, not easy to achieve when, you got life going on, work and everything else. So for him to, get that, it's a big achievement. And I know he's not going to stop just at the D3. I know he has plans in going further with the certification. So I just want to say congratulations, David. Continue the hard work and keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
We said thank you. No, President Duff, the board, general manager, thank you guys for your continuous support and encouragement. Even though I'm a late bloomer, I'm trying to get more certifications, not just for my knowledge, but for the knowledge to be able to help the residents and our customers of Desert Hot Springs. So that brings me a lot of joy to be able to know that I could give them the best that I can with my knowledge that I received by getting a further education in the certification. Thank you very much.
Keep it up. Thank you.
Lastly, we are excited to share that Teresa Murphy has obtained her Associates in Arts and Associates in Science degrees in Business Administration from Copper Mountain College, both with high honors. She now plans to complete her bachelor's degree in Business Management. Here to say a few words about Teresa is her supervisor, Engineering Manager, Eric Weck.
Thanks, Oriana. Teresa Murphy has been part of the district for 18 years, and she has progressed through the ranks from working in customer service through being an administrative assistant to currently serving as an engineering technician too. Doing that job is not easy, and through it all, she carved out enough time to attend classes and to secure her Associate in Arts degree in Business Management, as well as an Associate in Science degree in Business Administration. I'm sure it's been a long road with work and family responsibilities, but I hope you enjoy this moment, Teresa, and that you don't stop progressing further in your academic career. The engineering department and the district is very proud of you and your accomplishments. Here to say a few words is Teresa Murphy.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Eric. Good afternoon, President Duff, members of the board, General Manager Macy. So I just want to say thank you for the recognition. It took me nearly 20 years to return to school and complete this goal. Looking back, I wish I had continued my education earlier. It'd have been a lot easier without the kids and, the stress and all that. But this achievement is especially meaningful because I had the opportunity to share it with my eldest daughter. She walked with me. So on the same day I graduated, she also earned her degree and was accepted into one of the hardest nursing programs in our area. So as a parent, watching her reach that milestone while achieving one of my own was so rewarding. It reminded me that it's never too late to pursue your goals. As a first generation college graduate, this accomplishment represents more than a degree. It represents my personal growth and a commitment to setting an example for my daughters. It is also just the beginning. As Oriana pointed out, I plan to continue my educational journey and pursue my bachelor's degree in business management so I can continue to grow professionally and better serve the district and the community. So thank you again for your support and recognizing this small milestone.
It's not small at all. And the sky's the limit for you, Teresa.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
This concludes our HR report for today. The management team and I appreciate and commend our employees for their dedication and excellence. Thank you.
I believe we have some pictures to take, and I would like to present a certificate of appreciation for the 5 years of service for Joey.
My wheelchair.
I'm trying to hide behind it too. There we go. Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And I will have you guys remain standing.
Oh, 4? Yeah. Don't sit down. I know you won't get that.
Don't sit down yet. Just say individuals. You're fine. Welcome. I know where you got next. It's nice to you.
You know, I did that too. And how much hard work is this? Pat yourself on the back. Be
Yes,
proud of it.
be proud of it.
Don't stand so close to me.
We have one more. Congratulations, David.
Felt something I really.
And keep it up, okay? We need you. How thick is the hair, April?
Dr. Martin is getting distracted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did we have an additional public comment?
I believe so.
Discussion by charges also water summit Teresa help them. Okay. That we are in closed session. We are. Welcome. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we are going to head into closed session. We will have conference with legal counsel. Would you like to read us out, counselor?
It's a conference with legal counsel, item number 7, regarding potential initiation of litigation involving 5 potential cases.
Thank you very much.
And where are we going to do that? Here?
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, we can. All right, that brings us out from closed session. Counselor, could you report us out, please?
Yes, the board met in closed session. Item number 7 was conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation involving 5 potential cases, and there was no action.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone who is present today's patience. That was a long closed session. Moving right along, we're going to go to action items number 10, public hearing. This is the time or place set for the public hearing to receive protests, objections, or appeals regarding the proposed sewer standby assessments. It's resolution 2026-06. I will now open the public hearing, and staff will first provide a report, and I will then invite members of the public to speak. During the public comment period, there will be no back and forth among the public, the board, and staff. Any questions raised during the public comment will be noted and addressed after all public comments that have been received. Once public comment is complete, I will close the public hearing and the board may discuss and consider action on the proposed assessments. General Manager?
Thank you, President Duff. I will ask our accounting manager, Skylar
Oh,
Albright.
you know what? I apologize. I'm missing something.
Go ahead.
I need the secretary to give her report, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Desert Sun on May 31st and June 7th, 2026. In addition, postcards notifying affected customers of this hearing were mailed on May 7th, 2026. As of this afternoon, no comments or protests have been received for this item.
Thank you, ma'am. I apologize. Now, General Manager Macy, thank you.
Again, we ask Skylar Albright, our accounting manager, to provide a short presentation. Skylar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. I am here to present on the sewer standby assessments and the recommendation to fix, levy, and collect sewer service standby assessments for fiscal year 2027. A standby charge is essentially an assessment that is charged to an undeveloped properties to ensure that adequate water or sewer service will be available for that parcel when needed. This charge goes towards maintaining sewer infrastructure that undeveloped parcels can connect to when undergoing the development process. The standby charge is then removed after the sewer service is established. The district submits these charges on the county tax roll to be billed with property taxes. The fiscal year 2027 amount we are proposing to send to the county is approximately $10.8 thousand, which matches the prior year. This amount includes a total of 868 parcels. We use a third-party Willdan to identify which parcels are subject to standby charges and to submit them to the county tax roll on our behalf. This concludes my presentation on sewer standby assessments, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aubrey. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak or make comment on this item?
Madam President, not online.
And there are none present in the boardroom. So with that, I would like to conclude this public hearing and move to board discussion. Nothing? How about you, Director and Vice President?
Oh, but I'm happy to move the item.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a move and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We have another public hearing, item number 11, Resolution 2026-07, Establish Water Standby Assessments. This is the time and place for the public hearing to receive any protests, objections, or appeals regarding the proposed water standby assessments. I will now open this public hearing. Staff will first provide a report, and I will then invite members of the public to speak. During the public comment period, there will be no back and forth among the public, the board, and staff. You just made me lose my spot. Sorry about that, folks. Any questions raised during the public comment will be noted and addressed after all public comments have been received. Once public comment is complete, I will close the public hearing and the board may discuss and consider action on the proposed assessments. With that, the hearing is open, and Secretary, will you please report?
Notice of this public hearing was also published in the Desert Sun on May 31st and June 7th, 2026. In addition, postcards notifying affected customers of this hearing were mailed out on May 7th, 2026. As of this afternoon, no comments or protests have been received for this item.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And with that, staff report, please, General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff. Members of the board, I'll ask our accounting manager, Skylar Albright, to present this item. Skylar?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. I'm here to present on the water standby assessments and the recommendation to fix, levy, and collect water service standby assessments for the fiscal year 2027. The water standby assessments are similar to sewer, except these charges go towards maintaining water infrastructure that undeveloped parcels can connect to when undergoing the development process. The standby charge would also be removed when a water connection is established. These amounts are also submitted to the county tax roll. The fiscal year 2027 amount that we are proposing to send is approximately $228,000. slightly less than the prior year amount of $230,000. The total standby revenues are expected to decrease in the future as more properties connect to water service. The current year's total amount includes approximately 4,500 parcels. Wildan also identifies which parcels are subject to the standby charges for water and submits them to the county tax roll on our behalf. This concludes my presentation on water standby assessments, and I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aubrey. And do I have any members of the public online? I have none in the boardroom.
No, ma'am, not online.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further speakers, I declare the public hearing is now closed. Board discussion. Nothing from Director Sewell. How about you, Director Martin?
Nothing.
Vice President?
I will repeat, none, but I'm happy to move the item.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, we will move along to resolution number 12, resolution 2026-08, addition of delinquent accounts to the county tax rolls. It is recommended to adopt resolution number 2026-08, requesting addition of delinquent water and sewer charges and other fees of $5 or more to be added to the 2026-2027 Riverside County tax rolls. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. On Thursday during our study session, we did present a short presentation regarding this issue. I believe our county manager, Skylar Aubrey, will be giving a summary of that presentation, but also be able to answer a question that was asked about some of the specific property or charges that were on that tax roll. So with that being said, Skylar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. So this year, 468 accounts were identified that fit the criteria for a total of 299,000 of delinquent accounts to go to the county tax roll, as opposed to 293,000 in the prior year. And I did want to answer the question on the 66700 Fifth Street that was brought up last week. So it is the old Sahara Hotel that burned down. The 12.8 thousand you see is for water service. The 9.8 thousand you see is for sewer service. The water has been shut off since 2022. The land is vacant with only fixed charges and late fees being applied. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
This one I do have a question. Yeah, I know that I know it's been gone shut down since 2022. It also burned and the city had it raised. So I'm just kind of curious why we're now just putting the charges on the tax rolls as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
They would be getting put on every year. So this is only the fixed charges going every year, and it's the it's the 10% late fees that get tacked on every month when the bills are calculated that kind of really make it add up.
I believe there's still a meter service.
There's still meter service, and I think it was a combination of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
All into one. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And I had a question, just kind of in general, as far as our policy. Do we have any kind of limit set as far as when a bill reaches a certain limit that we, especially if there's no service and it's just a meter service, do we just allow it to continue without receiving any payments all year and continue to allow them to have water, or do we give shut off notices or?
We give shut off notices after 90 days and over a $50 balance on the account.
Okay. Any other questions, Director Sewell?
No, I think I'm going down a wormhole. Is that property owner able to have us remove the meter if they're not? I mean, if it's just sitting vacant, it just seems like that's going to be a large amount, say 10 years down the road when someone wants to buy that parcel.
There's a variety of things that the property owner could probably be doing, but it's not. So, what we probably should do is reach out to them and present them with some of those alternatives. The issue though, if we remove the meters or something like that, that may then trigger a impact fee or another impact fee on that particular property, and they may choose to keep that asset the way it is versus coming back and paying another impact fee for the next user. Because right now they have the ability to trade or offset for like one larger service in the future.
Okay.
Anything? Go, please continue.
With our new Tyler, is it easy to kind of search through this list to find other parcels possibly like that if we are going to send out any kind of options to some of these owners?
Potentially, yes. Yes.
Maybe just the larger ones.
Unfortunately, the billing cycle we won't be due billing until December.
Yeah, October, November, December is what we're looking at really. So we haven't really got into it yet. We expect to start getting into there here in a couple months though. So
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have nothing further. How about you, Director Martin? Vice President? Further?
I move resolution 2026-08.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, fiscal year 2026, 2027 budget, A, B, and C. We have resolutions number 2026-09, 2026-10, and 2026-11. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. We did present the budget at a workshop as well as our study session on Thursday. I will allow Skylar Aubrey to provide a summary of that or any additional information he may have. Skylar?
Thank you, General Manager Macy. So I don't have any updates to numbers, but I did want to answer a question on the vehicle maintenance department that was asked at the study session. So I did hand out a budget report directly out of Tyler for the budget details for the vehicle maintenance department. So you will see that approximately $62,000 of that $995,000 budget is salaries, $30,000 benefits, $405,000 outside services, which is primarily $400,000 of our enterprise fleet management leases. We do lease 32 vehicles from enterprise. We have $5,200 in fuel tank testing. Then we have $95,000 in gasoline, $50,000 in diesel, $130,000 for repair parts for the vehicles, and then $3,000 in welding supplies, and then the $175,000 for the backhoe that we talked about before, which will be used by multiple departments and by both water and sewer. So I did want to kind of explain the details related to that $995,000 because it can sound like a lot for vehicle maintenance, but when you think that $400,000 that is the leases for the vehicles, though, it doesn't sound as high. And then $175,000 for a new backhoe.
Thank you so much. Questions, Vice President?
Now that we've opened that can of worms. Diesel fuel. This is projected for next year, right?
Yes.
And when was the calculation made? How long ago?
So this would have been roughly 2 months ago.
Okay, so it's probably going to be a little higher, I would imagine, maybe.
Well, I believe is what we did is we looked at the past years and what it was approximately. As you know, there's been inflation. It's gone down. It's gone back up. So I think what Skylar does, and he can speak for this for himself, but he'll look at a multi-year trend when it's something like a commodity like this and come up with what we believe is going to be the best estimate. But there is flexibility in the budget to absorb any increase in costs or in this hopefully decrease in costs.
Yeah, hopefully, because the other day I saw it was over $7. So
yeah.
Just curious.
And I just had one recommendation for our transparency. Instead of titling it outside services, can we literally put in fleet lease?
Oh, yes, we could definitely create a new account specifically for enterprise fleet management. Yeah, that's
I
no
think
problem.
that makes it much more transparent and clear for our public if they were to ever want to look at this. And the leasing is such a tax benefit to our district in so many ways. And so I don't mind highlighting that we're being smart on that. Thank you.
Perfect. I'd love to.
And with that, is there any other discussion? Director Martin, did you have anything to add? Any other direct discussion? Do I have a motion for all three or a motion for A, B, or C?
I'm happy to do all three unless there's any.
I'll second it.
So it looks like we have a motion and a second for resolutions A, B, and C. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Skylar, thank you so much for your team and your work in this. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Can't wait to use Tyler more. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, number 14, Resolution 2026-05, amending the codified Mission Springs Water District Personnel Rules and Regulations, Title III Personnel. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board, Oriana Hoffert, our Human Resources Manager, as well as legal counsel, provided updates to this item on Thursday, and we are available to answer any additional questions you may have.
Hey, Director Sewell, do we have any questions on your end?
No, I was able to watch the recording from Thursday, and I thought you guys had a good discussion, and I had no further questions.
Thank you very much. Director Martin.
Nope.
Vice President.
None. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to put it at 1.5 speed and just watch you guys talk really fast.
Sure.
And with that, if nothing further, I'll move this item. I'll end your streak.
Sounds good. So I have a motion and a second for Resolution 2026-05. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry, who was the second on that motion?
That would be me.
Thank you, sir. Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. And be sure to tell me if anyone raises their hands, Dory.
Yes, ma'am.
I have an empty boardroom, so without seeing people, I tend to forget to ask you. So please just interrupt me, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move along to number 15, Resolution 2026-12, Notice of General District Election, November 3rd, 2026, and establishment of the deposit for optional candidate statements. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. On Thursday during our study session, we did discuss this item, and in reality, this is just to simply reimburse the Riverside County Registrar's Office for the costs associated with the election of 2 of our officers.
Thank you very much. And do we have any questions regarding this, Director Sewell? Director Martin? Vice President? Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Oh.
I have a motion and I have a second from
Director Martin.
Director Martin. Can I get a roll call vote, please, on Resolution 2026-12, unless there's any comments?
No comments, President Duff. Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye, thank you.
Motion passes.
All right, number 16, Resolution 2026-14, to approve the initial study and adopt the mitigated negative declaration for the Mission Springs Water District Groundwater Quality Protection Program. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. On Thursday, we did present a presentation regarding this particular item. Just for as a summary, this is for our groundwater protection program, all of our assessment districts. Many of the CEQA documents that we put together years ago has expired, and we were asked to redo them to make sure that we refresh them. As part of this refresh, this will take care of the CEQA documentation. The information will then be given over to the Army Corps so then they can update the NEPA documents, which is the National Environmental Protection Act information. So from that perspective, that would allow us to go to construction on any of these districts as if we were ever to get funding. So necessary part and component of hopefully getting our septic to sewer projects moving forward a little bit faster. So with that being said, Eric Weck, our engineering manager, is available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Director Martin.
No questions.
Director Sewell. Vice President.
None. I'll move the item.
I'll second it.
With a motion and a second, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to number 17, contract agreement renewal with Intelisys Communication Services for Information Technology Professional Services. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. On Thursday, during our study session, Kirk Hellenecker provided an update of this contract, what the contract was going to pay for, how it was going to be utilized, and some of the benefits that come from this contract. Kurt is available for any questions if the board has any this time.
Thank you very much. I appreciated your presentation last week. Anything from you? Were you able to catch it? Wonderful. How about Director Martin?
No.
Vice President? Okay, thanks for not cutting me off this time.
You might have something important to say.
No, nothing really that important, except I'm really grateful for the additional services they've been providing to allow you to focus on the bigger picture items for the district and allow them to take care of the daily day-to-day options. So please pass along my gratitude. With that, I'll accept a motion for the contract renewal.
Oh, I can do that now?
Yes.
I will move.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. I think we're getting a little punchy over here. I apologize. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Director Martin?
Yep.
Director Sewell?
Yes.
Vice President Griffith?
Aye.
And President Duff?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. That brings us to discussion items. Number 18, administration building update. General Manager Macy.
Thank you, President Duff, members of the board. Just wanted to update you on our Critical Services Center and where we are right now. Our architect has reviewed the bids and has made a recommendation of the low bid that will be coming to you in July. But more importantly, I invited Michael Bush from Urban Futures to present to you some of what he's been working on from that perspective and how it's going to complement and how we're going to finance half of that building cost. So with that, I would ask Michael Bush, first of all, thank you for sticking around. I know it's been a long day so far for us, but if you can please, Mike, let us know what you've been working on and how the process is going to work between now and our board meeting in July.
Thank you, Mr. Macy. I can share a quick presentation with your board and walk you through it real quick, if you don't mind. Let's see here. Let's see if I can figure out how to get it go from the beginning. Can you guys see the slides?
We can.
Okay. Let me just walk you through. So the last meeting, we presented the concept of a bond financing for the district, and in doing so, we did a comprehensive review of other debt that the district had engaged in over a series of years. Made a recommendation to the board to restructure several prior debt issuance. To do two things, basically. One is to remove some of the covenants that would have made it extremely restrictive for the board to move forward as efficiently and effectively as possible. And also kind of aligning things with your 2025 rate study, which I'm happy to report that from my understanding, even of your bids were still within the assumptions in your rate study. A little bit of update on what has occurred since the board authorized staff to work with us to deal with the existing debt. And my thanks goes to Skylar. He's done a heck of a job assisting us moving through this. So two of the transactions you see in the chart below have already been paid. And there's one bank left at City National Bank. We expect to receive payoff notices from them by the end of the month. So around June 30th, and then we will deal with paying those off. And as we reported to the board, we'd like to keep the one loan outstanding, as you see at the bottom, due to its low interest rate of 2.2%. That loan will require us to reach out and validate the community as disadvantaged, which is why you received the loan at such a low rate. We don't think that will be a challenge. In fact, we think they've recently validated that in other documents with the district in mind. So we think we're moving along pretty smooth there. This will all take place at the end of the month. And again, Skylar's done a great job of working through the details and working with us to send out the notices and to do the outreach with the banks. A little bit about the market. I'm sure you're watching the escalation in the Middle East. It has increased volatility in our market. I think the delay, candidly, in your bids may have been a blessing in disguise, because as that hopefully geopolitical unrest comes to resolution, we're starting to see the market respond to that. Just a little bit of news about the market today. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 were all up pretty substantially today. Typically, the municipal market lags a little bit behind. And one area where it somewhat targets where it goes is in the yields of treasuries. So you can see here, we saw treasuries decline a little bit today. That helps with where we think spreads are going to go into the municipal market data. So that MMD index is really what we use to determine where we are with bond rates. So we saw a little bit of reduction today. I'm optimistic we'll see a little bit more reductions, and hopefully the volatility will be smoothed out as we move forward towards the transaction and pricing the transaction in the coming basically 45 days. The one thing I do want to point out is about a month ago, roughly, we saw treasury rates about 20 plus basis points higher than they are today. So we've seen this gradual smoothing of the market based on this idea or concept that there would be an agreement forthcoming. When they have a little bit of spat back and forth during those discussions, we'd see the rates move up and down, optimistically hoping that this MOU will stay in place and rates will move down to what we'll call, less pressure in the marketplace at a time when you'll be able to refinance and finance your transactions at a good time within the market. So we'll keep an eye on this. And with each meeting with your staff, we give them updates on the market. And I'll have a little bit more on how we will walk you through the market when I get to the schedule section of this presentation. The documents that we're working on, this is where the real work is being driven right now. We're working with your staff to collect data. We're working with the underwriter to look at the market, but we are also working with your bond counsel straddling to create these documents. So this is a summary of a few of the documents. There's actually 2 slides on here of the documents that will come forward to your board. So a district resolution, a corporate resolution, because we're using a financing authority to pass this through. There's an installment purchase agreement, which is basically how the agreement plans to make payments over the life of the bonds and how to secure them. There's a trust agreement that goes into place with your trustee. And then there's a few more documents. This is an assignment agreement, a bond purchase agreement, which is the agreement between the district and the underwriter to sell the bonds and to underwrite them for those that are unsold. And I think the most important 2 documents are actually the ones at the bottom, which is your preliminary official statement, which is your disclosure document. So this is really the first time that you've gone out into the open marketplace. So all of the district's financials and its other items of disclosure will all be presented to investors throughout the United States. In fact, even outside the United States, there'll be people looking at you and looking at the potential to invest in the district and to buy the bonds. And this is where we disclose all that information. A lot of work goes into this. This includes prior year's financials, your rate study, and some of the cleanup work that we talked about on the prior slide. And then as we go forward, post-issuance, the district will have a requirement to continue to provide information to bond investors. So there's a continuing disclosure certificate. You have some form of this that you do now with your existing debt. Most of the information is coming from your financial documents, your audits. An easy way, I think, to look at this last requirement, typically the tables that describe the operation of your utilities and how they function will be reported on a regular basis, on an annual basis, through one disclosure document that will be posted online for investors to review. It's typically done once a year throughout the life of the bonds. The schedule. So this is a little more detail than probably what was intended to show you, but I wanted to lay it out this way because this is all the steps basically between now and getting this document and getting those documents prepared and sent to you. So lots of steps in between, lots of calls. This is the schedule that your financing team is using to keep us on track and to guide us through the process. So a couple highlight dates. We have been working diligently with your staff to prepare that preliminary official statement that was referenced. Skylar's been working hard to provide the information to the underwriter to include. We expect that to go out later this week. I think some additional information was provided today that we were waiting for. So once that goes out, then we start to review that document as a group, which includes all of your staff, the underwriter, us as your advisor, and your counsel. From there, we build a credit presentation, which describes the district, like your FICO score, so to speak, and your performance. And so we will prepare that document with the intent of having a rating call sometime early in July. And this will be, I think, one of the first bond ratings the district has received. We're assuming that will be at least in the A category, which is a strong rating. I think the district's done a good job of managing its finances. You've got cash on hand. You've cleaned up some of the debt that we've talked about. You've got rate studies that document your path forward. And I think you've got a good bid to work from. And I think that gives everybody some level of comfort as we go forward. We will then come back to you on July 20th with the documents that I described. At that time, we should be able to give you an update on what your rating is. And we will give you some details on where we think the financing will end up. It is a requirement that we provide the board what is referred to as a good faith estimate. That good faith estimate does a few things. It will set a not to exceed amount for how much to borrow. It will set a not to exceed amount of interest rate, and it will set a not to exceed amount of how much to pay your underwriter. So all of those things come to you for approval. If the market, for some reason, moves away from us based on that not to exceed that you provide us, that you agree to, then we can't sell bonds. And so we will walk you through what that is and why we came to that conclusion. Just as a typical standard, we will put a slight cushion into those numbers because we know the market moves day to day. It will not be a significant cushion to where, for example, if we think the market's going to be at 5%, we're going to use an 8% not to exceed. So there's lots of room in there. I think where we're likely going to end up is at a rate that's very close, if not at what you assumed in your rate study. I think we're going to be right there at the time we present this document to you with the hope and maybe even the expectation that we can do a little better if the market comes down. The bidding process and getting a good qualified low bid certainly helps a lot in this process. Paying off that debt, clearing out all those poor covenants that were restrictive and made borrowing and access to the market challenging, having been resolved, I think will help with the credit. And overall, we're expecting to have a very smooth and very a prosperous sale of the bonds. We think there'll be lots of interest in the district, and we're excited to present it to you on the 20th with the expectation that the district will have the money in its hands the early part of August to start its projects. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions from staff of the board.
Thank you so much. Director Martin?
No.
Director Sewell?
Maybe I'm putting you right on the spot, Michael, but I think you could say it a lot more eloquently than I could. Could you just explain how bonding out for a good portion of the admin building is going to help us just spread that cost to future ratepayers?
Yeah, I think you make a good point. So what we typically see with public facilities in general, admin buildings, police stations, fire stations, city halls, et cetera, is they have a useful life of minimum of 30 years. Most of the time it's 40 to 50 years. And the ability to spread that cost over ratepayers over a longer period of time basically assigns a level of responsibility for the ratepayer at that time to pay a fair share for that process. I think more importantly, if you were to try to fund this project with cash, you would have extremely high rates for your utilities and for a very short period of time to build up that much cash to pay it off. So this somewhat smooths out the rates over time as well. Once the debt is issued, it is fixed debt. It does not increase. During the debt period of 30 years, It will have call provisions, which will allow us to look at the bond market every 10 years and determine if we can actually refinance the debt for a lower interest rate. So the expectation is when there's the greater risk, it's when the transactions, goes out 30 years. But as that term of maturity declines, the risk declines, and I would expect that we would be able to refinance these bonds somewhere during the life of the bonds, possibly every 10 years.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Sewell.
Mhm.
Vice President? Nope. I also had no questions. I'm very excited that this is all meeting with our budget and with our, I have some frog in my throat, I apologize. I'm just really happy to see that it's staying within all of our budgeted requirements and hopes. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of this information and look forward to seeing you on the 20th.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Sure. No
Anything
problem.
further from staff?
No, that concludes our report.
Thank you so much. We will move on to number 19, Groundwater Protection Program Update. General Manager.
Yes, thank you, President Duff, members of the board. I will ask Eric Weck, our engineering manager, to provide a short presentation. Eric?
Yes, good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. For this month's Groundwater Quality Protection Program update, it's relatively light in that, apologize, that is the wrong one. There we go. Apologize for that. It's a relatively light update this month, as we have the mitigated negative declaration for the GQPP that is going to be presented, that is presented to the board today with an expected approval. And then that will, as General Manager Macy discussed earlier, that will help out the environmental process with the district, as well as speeding the process up with the Army Corps of Engineers. Secondly, for Area M2, Area M2, we do have a contractor on board. That contract was awarded to WECA Incorporated, and they are in the process of providing material submittals, as well as MSWD issued a limited notice to proceed to the contractor to start work on administrative work only, such as any RFIs or clarifications, and obviously material submittals. And finally, construction is tentatively scheduled for the first part of July this year, pending submittal of WECA's construction schedule. We are eagerly anticipating that, and we expect that any day now. And then that should allow us to get the schedule submitted over to the state, and then maybe we can get an idea how soon we can get this under construction, possibly by July 1st. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much, Mr. Weck. Director Martin? Vice President? Thank you very much. We are hopeful to get a move on the entire process as soon as possible. Anything further from staff?
Yes, just one thing. Eric did talk about that we're working with the contractor. We are also continuing to work with the state to try to get the full amount of the project funded. Just as an update, that is going through the process at the state of getting the remaining money that's left of the grant approved. We should hear something about that in the next couple of weeks, and then we hope in maybe the next month or 2 months to get the remaining portion also covered by the grant as well. In the event that second funding does not occur, we have decided what we're going to ask for, basically concentrating on the areas where we had water line replacement, also part of the sewer replacement. We focused on making sure that we could do both of those. And by looking at those and where those locations were, they were at the very southern end and then the very northern end. So there's basically the two streets on the east side of M2 as they extend north to the Bubbling Wells School. We'll be able to pick up both of those streets all the way up and connect to that location. So it will still be a project, but it will be be half the project that we were looking at, which makes sense. We had half the funding, so we'll do half the project, and we'll still be able to confine it in such a way that the maintenance of traffic and everything will still be just moving forward as we go from south to north. So we do have a plan moving forward, but of course, we're still working with the state to make sure we can secure all the funding. That concludes our report.
It's fantastic. I hope we can get it. Anything further for staff? All right. That'll move us along to the consent agenda. And I know that we have a request to pull one item. I would like to pull items 22 and 23. And you wanted to pull?
I would like to pull 24.
Okay. So why don't we go forward? The reason I pulled 22 and 23 is because I realized in our study session that we did not allow Mr. Weck to do his presentation. So I wanted to make sure that for public purposes, he was able to do that presentation before we proceeded with a vote. So however you want to proceed first.
I can simply just turn it over to our engineering manager, Eric Weck, and he can provide presentations for 22 if we want to go item by item, or if you want to go all three, we can go all three presentations, 22, 23, and 24.
Let's stop for questions in between and then we'll see how it
Okay.
goes. Thank you so much.
Eric?
Yes, I'm bringing them up now.
Sorry to surprise you.
Why he's bringing that up, one of the things that I did want to mention as we were talking through, going through the financing process related to the CSC, we do have a workshop on the 8th of July. So if there's any changes in the market or any significant things like that, we will have the opportunity to bring that to the board as late as the 8th before we actually make a true discussion, if you will, during our board meeting. So just want to bring that from a housekeeping perspective, that we will have a workshop on the 8th and to answer any additional questions.
Great.
Thank you, General Manager Macy. I appreciate the time, so I can little tap dance a little bit better. Okay, So good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Item 22 of this afternoon's agenda is about the bill of sale for the recently completed Viento project in the city of Desert Hot Springs, located on the property immediately to the west of the district's new Nancy Wright Regional Wastewater Reclamation Facility. To serve as some background, typically developers are conditioned by the water district to construct water and sewer improvements to provide service for their development. The Viento project was conditioned to construct water and sewer improvements, which also includes a new sewer lift station. These sewer improvements have been inspected and have been found to meet the district standards. Staff would recommend that the board accept these improvements and direct staff to have them incorporated into the district's water and sewer systems. Are there any questions?
Director Martin?
No.
Director Sewell? Vice President? And you said, just to clarify, that we've inspected and all of it meets our design requirements. We have no surprises. We've physically ourselves looked at it, right?
Yes, Director Duff. I'm President Duff. It took a little longer. There were a lot of moving parts on this project, and we did have district staff also inspect the fire hydrants along Calle de los Ramos and the water lines, and so everything has been inspected and bought off, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that clarification. I appreciate it. Any other questions regarding 22? Okay, so let's move on with the discussion on 23, if we could, Mr. Weck.
Yes, ma'am. And this should be for
Palm Place.
Palm Place. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so item 23 of this afternoon's agenda is about another execution of a bill of sale for water improvements at 66379 Pearson Boulevard, known as Palm Place. This project was conditioned by the Water District to construct water improvements to provide service for their development. Plans were submitted, reviewed, and approved, and the improvements were constructed by the developer. These improvements have been inspected by district staff and have been found to meet the district standards. Staff would recommend the board accept these improvements
and direct staff to have them incorporated into the district's water system. Are there any questions?
Director Sewell. Director Martin.
No.
Vice President.
No.
And I only have one, and it probably is not consequential at all, but is there any reason why there was no sewer infrastructure improvements required and it was only water that had to be done?
Sewer improvements were already constructed as part of the original construction of this building.
Perfect. That's what I needed to know. Thank you so much. And then number 24, Vice President Griffith wanted to pull that item for discussion. Do you want him to do a presentation or did you want to ask your questions?
I would like to ask my questions.
Perfect.
So I know I asked questions on Thursday and it was about the reduction, but so I started to go through here and I have some, to be honest, some concerns. And I don't know if you want to pull this up, you don't, so everybody else can be on the same page as me, but my concerns were on page, let's see, page 28 to start.
As a side note, I do have Adam Rush from
I saw.
BKF Consulting.
Give us a second to scroll through our online books. We did not
It's
print the
page
1400 page.
1372 in the agenda.
Well, let's see. It might be faster if I went over
I think I'm close.
Let's see.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Perfect. So table 3.2, CBWD Colorado River entitlements. And I see we have 2025 at 330,000 acre feet, and that continues for the next 20 years. But it's my understanding that the Colorado River Compact expired, and at this time there has not been any definitive agreement. If there is suspected that there may be a reduction in our entitlement as the upper basin states are wanting more and less for the lower basin states. So I'm just kind of curious why we continue with the same numbers. Was there any thought to considering maybe a lower number given the political climate for that issue?
These numbers are based on CVWD's entitlements, and if CVWD changes them, then we will change ours. But to date, they have not changed or diminished their expected entitlements.
So let's go to page 58.
Okay.
Water supply assessments, perfect. So that first paragraph, I'm gonna put, we're talking about water supplies to meet existing and future water needs. It is projected to increase to 8,996 acre feet a year by 2025. It's 2026, so I'm just kind of curious why we're using a figure in the past, a projection for the past. And so I want to know how when we're doing these assessments, are we not taking a look at current things and looking at the future? Because when I read this, I believe we used more than 8996 in 2025 in terms of the replenishment or the rack costs. So I'm just kind of curious why a water assessment in 2026 is using a figure from a projection for 2025 in its calculations.
I can answer this question. The Urban Water Management Plan is where this information comes from. And if you recall, you just recently adopted the 2025 version. So they're still going off the 2020 version because that's all they had available at the time when they were drafting this document. So in reality, if the next water supply assessment will include the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan information. So unfortunately, with the timing of this water supply assessment, the 2015 or 25 information was not yet.
So we're kind of approving all these things, relying on old information.
Well, this particular one, but I think in reality, what you're looking at is the long-term, not
No, I know that,
but yes.
But what you're saying is, so anything in 2025, 24, 23, we're using old data.
Information from based on 2020.
Based on the growth of the city, that's probably all out of date, right?
No, when The 2020 data would have had the census data at the time, but you're right. The 2025 would have had the actual results of that and would have shown the impact. And even that is then washed through Riverside County, SCAG information, and the general planning documents that we use to create that. And I can say that the 25, the master plans that we put together, and our financial plan all had the same population information. Because that was one thing that I made sure of when we were going through it, because I did want to make sure that we incorporated the next. So while this information may be a little bit out of focus, the future years 25, 30, and 35 and 45 are up to date.
Okay, it's still a concern to me that we're using old information and approving things and not taking into consideration that may be completely outdated. So given that the projection for 2025 is actually less than what we have been using, I am a little concerned, but that's all I have.
Thank you for that. Is there any other comments or questions regarding the water supply assessment? No. Anything further from staff?
No.
Okay. All right. So having had all of the discussions, can we move forward on the consent calendar as one, or do we want to still separate 24 from? All right. So we will move forward on consent agenda. If I could get a motion for 20, 21, 22, and 23.
So moved.
I'll second it.
And if I could get a roll call vote again on consent agenda 20, 21, 22, and 23.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith.
Aye.
And President Duff.
Aye. Thank you very
motion
much.
passes.
And then if we could get a motion on 24.
So moved.
And a second? Okay. So not having a second, is there a particular motion anyone would like to make that made any additional changes to this, or are we wanting to bring this back?
We can bring this back. Take too long.
I'd have to look into that to get the actual impacts.
So having a dead motion, do we continue?
It fails for lack of a second. I don't know what the timing is from the golf standpoint.
That's my concern. I certainly don't want to hold up development, but at the same time, I'm just concerned at the information in there because we did have some issues with the calculations. And yes, I understand there was a factoring issue, but it doesn't instill confidence in me and probably in a lot of people when we start to really look at that stuff. So
I can verify that the information in the document is valid and correct moving forward. The one thing I think that we had concerns with is how it lined up with other properties. And we do have a slide to answer that particular question.
Can I take a look at that?
Yes, let me bring that up for you. Okay, so you'll see on this slide that this covers the I-10 and Indian Canyon corridor. And the recent WSA reports that have been approved have been focused in this area. This is a high interest area. And the most appropriate property and development in WSA to compare with the first Commerce Center 2 project is project number 2, and you'll see it listed as the 20th Avenue Logistics. Let's move my screen. There we go. And so there are a lot of comparable numbers that seem to jive. However, the landscaping is a little bit more for the first Palm Springs Commerce Center 2 as opposed to the 20th Avenue Logistics, which is site number 2. And the reasoning is, and I spoke with the engineer that's online as well ahead of this meeting, as well as our plan checker, Jeff Davis from Provost and Pritchard. He reviews these WSAs before they are presented to the board. And you did note that yes, there is a factoring or a rounding issue that increased the water usage, the water demand for indoor use by about 9%. And then the landscaping use, I did find out that the difference between Site 2, you'll see Site 2 has a landscape water demand of 9 acre-feet per year. You'll also note that Site number 4, which is the property that we're discussing now, has an almost 30 acre-feet per year. And one possible difference is because of the increase, there's more, a little more landscaping involved with Site 4, as well as Site 4 has a stormwater retention basin that the slopes are irrigated as well. So looking over to the rightmost column, the total water demand for Site 2, which is comparable with Site 4 roughly, is 63.7, and the First Commerce Center 2 is 91.1 acre-feet per year. There is some slight differences. The square footage for Site 2 is 1,062,165, and the square footage for Site 4 is 1,092,337. They're roughly similar, but Site 4 is slightly more. Before I conclude, although having the indoor water demand calculated and rounded up to a little higher value, that it's not necessarily a bad thing. This rounding increased the indoor water use by about 9%. And this is discussed in section 6.2, page 53 of the WSA. And they annotate that as a safety margin. The safety margin provides a more conservative indoor water use and does not present a problem in the WSA. Likewise, our consultant, Jeff Davis from Provost and Pritchard, that reviews our WSAs, agrees that the values within the WSA for the First Commerce Center 2 project are acceptable and fall within the accepted values for this type of analysis and building use. I hope those answer additional questions.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I actually did the calcs myself this past weekend. And yeah, the indoor looks really good. The outdoor a little higher, but I just have concerns that when we're doing these, I'm not the only one looking at this stuff. And I think that we need to be maybe I don't know, we need to look at this a little more carefully, and I think I have some ideas that I'll talk about later, but thank you. So I have reservations, but I'm happy to move the item.
Madam President, before you move forward, Adam Rush has his hand up.
Okay. Mr. Rush, please proceed.
Well, thank you, Madam President. I understand your concerns. You know, a decade ago, these documents were unfortunately rubber stamped by water districts, and now you and the other districts are taking a look at this. So I understand your questions. It looks like there is consensus, so I'll just hold my time if there's any additional questions that I could respond to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. So with a motion on the table to accept the water supply assessment for Palm Springs Commerce Center 2, do I have a second?
And do we go off my first motion? Do you want to be the second?
Me second.
Okay, so we'll return to the first motion, and we now have a second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Vice President Griffith,
Aye.
and President Duff.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And great discussion. And I agree with Vice President Griffith. I would like to see more current information, especially if it's passed through our office. And we've approved it and accepted it. That's what the developers should be using also. And moving on to, let's see here. Reports, director's reports. Who would like to go first?
I'll take it if that's okay.
Please go ahead, Director Martin.
Okay, early May attended the Aqua Conference. There was some very interesting breakout sessions of special note. One was on cybersecurity, another water management, communications, finance. There's also presentations on legal issues, federal permit and procurement streamlining. There was also a Region 9 membership meeting I attended. And for me, all politics aside, the highlight of the conference was the presentation by Governor Newsom. He's really quite a remarkable speaker, and gave a lot of details and stuff like that, and didn't look at notes once the entire time, and it was very impressive. On the 13th, Chamber of Commerce Mixer had a nice conversation with Supervisor Perez, who attended. On the 16th, Celebration of Life for Lee Eastman. To me, he was a friend and a true hero. He was very active in the community. I served with him on the Public Safety Commission. He also retired from law enforcement, and he will truly be missed. On the 18th, Cabot's board meeting. Nothing to report there. On the 21st, Desert Valley Builders Association Public Officials Lunch. That was a well-represented group of people there. The keynote speaker was Scott Stiles, the Palm Springs City manager. And a side note to the Cabot's meeting, I just found out this morning that on Thursday and Saturday, they were the subject. The museum was heavily vandalized with a lot of damage. The windows were broken. Gate was broken. Locks. The water fountain was damaged. There has been arrangements made for additional cameras to be installed, and floodlights are being installed, additional floodlights. So it's very sad because that's quite an event. For that to happen is unexcusable. Anyway, that's my report.
Sorry to hear about that. Thank you for sharing that. Who would like to go next? Director Sewell?
I can go. May 1st, attended the State of Education, and that was by Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. This was their inaugural State of Education event. I like the idea, but the execution was a bit rough. There was an hour of mingling before about 3-hour presentation. They had each of the 3 school districts in the valley, College of the Desert, and One Future. In addition, they had quite a few student performances. All were great, but it was just information overload kind of. By the end of it, there wasn't many people still in attendance. I thought Palm Springs Unified did probably the best presentation, maybe the most concise presentation, but they put a big emphasis on their different academies they had, and one that was highlighted was the Real Academy that we partner with to have our interns here at MSWD. They also mentioned a new flight academy, which will be available to all of the high schools in Palm Springs Unified. just different careers in aviation, including becoming a pilot. College of the Desert also mentioned they're working on being able to start providing four-year degrees. May 4th through 7th, the Agua Spring Conference. A few of the breakouts that stuck out to me was the vision for our water future, talked about California's goals, and just a thank you to Marion. I know she's not here, but if you go to their website now, the vision for our water future, you can see our logo up there, and I'm glad that we're partnering in that. Also liked the finance session that I went to, and I wrote these notes before we talked today, but I was interested to dive deeper into our plans for the admin building. And then we got that presentation from Michael Bush. So that's been a long time coming. I'm excited for that. The keynote with Newsom was interesting. He is a really good speaker. He had some memes that he showed and jokes, and is a bit, I think, out of the norm of what people were expecting. But most of his talk was really on what has been done in his term, and not much talk for the future. And I think everyone in the room was like really well aware of, I mean, there's a lot of people in the room that did the work that he was talking about. So it was a good talk, but just not much future goals or where we're heading. May 13th, I attended a AWWA seismic webinar. It was really interesting, but I think it was more geared towards staff. It was pretty technical. They even had a handful of different Japanese presenters that spoke on different technologies. One that they shared is they put cables in all of their pipes. So the tension on the cables, they could tell if pipes have shifted. I don't know if that's anything that we do, but it was interesting, but I think more geared towards staff. But it did have me thinking about our own emergency preparedness. I think it was before COVID, we had kind of a workshop with the board included with, his name is Gary. But maybe that's something we could dive deeper into, especially as we start planning the admin building of just kind of our plan for the future. May 19th, attended DHS City Council. Was a really, really short meeting, but they did approve putting the Desert Valley disposal bill on the tax roll like they do every year. And that's all I have.
Okay,
I
great.
have one I've left out. Can I?
Of course.
Yeah, it was on the 25th. I attended the Memorial Day celebration at Veterans Park. It's always a well-attended event, and a really good speaker who also was the bagpiper out there. Anyway, it was a very, very nice event.
Thank you. Vice President?
I also attended Aqua. The only thing that really stood out for me was that it seemed like there was a lot of emphasis on maybe agricultural as opposed to retail. I found that focus more heavy this conference than the last. And then what I also found interesting is that, and I get that there's new people all the time, but some of their courses or workshops that they had were very basic level workshops. Prop 218, they had a workshop on that, and it was beyond basic. Not even including the things that we did last year or that other agencies are doing in terms of was it AB something? I remember the number now, 2250 something, something like that. And so for me, I have to be honest, I was kind of disappointed in the content and the offerings, because a lot of it was, I know we all went into thinking it was going to be good. And then after 15 minutes, we were like, this is really just a waste of time. So I've said before, I'm thinking about whether I'm going to continue to go to these. Depends on what these agendas are. I also did on the 19th DWA, and they had that was a long one. They did the groundwater replenishment assessment for West Whitewater and Mission Creek subbasins, a lease for Snow Creek Cabin. Didn't know they had a cabin there, but submission for a Bureau of Reclamation small scale water project grants. And let me see if I can read my writing. Bid for something pump plant 46. Also bid for construction of Avenida Caballeros. There's going to put a pipeline there. And then bids for construction for their 2024 summer replacement pipeline. So I guess they've moved that to 2026. And that was my month.
Thank you very much. All right, for myself, on May 4th through 7th, I also was at the Aqua Spring Conference. I attended updates on federal affairs, groundwater, Region 9, cybersecurity, sites, reservoir. I agree with Vice President Griffith that it certainly is very agricultural and GSA focused versus boots on the ground, regular retail district focus, which is a shame. I was also very happy with the vision of our water future that they unveiled and how quickly our staff was able to get us onto that as well. So again, a thank you to Marion for that. On May 14th, I attended the CVAG Coachella Valley Conservation Committee meeting. 2 parcels were purchased, one in Willow Hole, 5 acres, and one in Indio Hills, Joshua Tree Linkage. They purchased 10 acres there. We also had a presentation from various folks working on the State Route 62 Wildlife Crossing. And it looks like they have gained traction. They have entered partnerships with the Mojave Desert Land Trust, and they have been working with the county. And it looks like they will be putting that wildlife crossing on our, if you go up the 62 on your way up to Yucca, there will be a crossing, a wildlife crossing over the 62. Partially up the mountain. I did not bring a map, but I will forward the map to you guys so you can see it. But it will be on our way up the 62, kind of halfway up the mountain from the way the picture showed it. They also had an update from the police in Desert Hot Springs regarding the memorandum of understanding that they hold with CVCC for monitoring the CVCC lands in DHS. And it was a great presentation. I think that the Desert Hot Springs police enjoy being able to use the drones and get out there and take a look. I was happy that they responded well to some of the committee members' concerns. And I think that we're going to be getting some more detailed updates on regular patrolling that they're doing in that area to fulfill the MOU. On May 21st and 22nd, I attended the Aqua State Legislative Committees for both Region 9 and then for the entire state. We discussed over 10 bills. I wanted to share the ones that they are opposing and or putting on the watch list, just so you guys can have a little idea of where their focus is at right now. So on AB 2521, it's about 2 watersheds in the Central Valley to have availability to have a watershed availability study conducted by the California Council of Science and Technology, and that would become the future standard. So there's a lot of conversations amongst all of the water districts as to whether we want an outside source to be able to provide a new study that will say how things will be moving forward. So there's been a lot of heated discussion, and Aqua is currently opposed to that. SB 1014, that bill hopes to increase predictability of the housing department by cutting infrastructure costs. This is also opposed by Aqua. This would ultimately require cities and water districts to respond with an infrastructure requirement list, including water and sewer, within 30 days of being requested. And basically, we wouldn't be able to go back and say, we need you to change this. This isn't working. Whatever list we would provide them of what would be required for the development would be what we would have to stick with. So there's a lot of pushback from Aqua on that as well. The big one that I have had more discussion again this last week with is AB 1894. And this one, we don't have golden mussels here, but it is affecting our friends in the LA area and in the San Joaquin Valley immensely. And so this bill would prevent water districts that accept groundwater recharge from blocking imported water sources. I guess what's happening, especially in the San Joaquin Valley, is that there are some districts 100% reliant on this recharge to provide the only water source, and their GSA in LA County is preventing them from accepting those deliveries because of the potential of golden mussels, not because there really is, not because there's no work plan in place, but because there might be. And so This bill, Aqua sees the need for making sure we don't have people in critical overdraft, but at the same time, trying to be careful as to the line that they draw, as half their members are on one side of this bill and half their members are on the other. Let's see. The last one that I'll share with you, I found it kind of interesting. The SB 1263, they're also on a watch and requesting amendment. It heavily regulates the people in the industry that can help remove debris and hazards after a hazard. So like what we experienced in Hillary or with the fires, and that these people would all have to have very specific licensure that would ensure that they meet all of the environmental removal requirements. But what it does is limit and narrow the scope down of those who can actually respond to the disaster by like limiting it to 3 companies in the whole state. So I think that it's good that they're opposing that, as we need to be able to get to our water systems and get things back up and functioning tomorrow, not when we can find a a licensed person that can come in at some point, right? And then May 31st, I attended a CSDA webinar dealing with changing boundaries and changing boards. I found it very helpful and very informative. It talked about changing LAFCO boundaries, and it talked about changing boards and with our upcoming election and 2 board members up for election, it talked about just the different changes and how to prepare for that. So I found it very helpful. And if anyone else is interested, the parts about the changing boundaries were also very informative. And that does it for me. So with that, do we have a general manager's report that was not already provided?
We do. We have both the finance and public affairs report. First, I'll ask our accounting manager, Skylar Aubrey, to come up for finance. All right. Thank you, General Manager Macy. So I am here to report on the year-to-date financials from July 1st, 2025 to April 30th, 2026. So you will see operating revenues are 32.7 million approximately, well over budget of 16.6 million, and that is due to 17.2 million in wastewater industrial pre-treatment non-compliance fees, which may be negotiated down in the future. You will see operating expenses of 19.2 million as opposed to 23.3 million. The savings are due to less outside services, materials, and electricity costs than expected, which leads us to an operating income of 13.5 million compared to 3.5 million in the prior year. Non-operating revenues of 5.5 million are well under budget of 22.2 million, and that is due to grant revenues of $12 million that we are deferring until next year, which is as seen in the budgets, as well as less investment income than expected. And you will see non-operating expenses of 381K, which is well under budget of 693K due to the $15 million payoff of the Wells Fargo line of credit, which resulted in lower interest expense. This results in a total net change in net position of 18.5 million as opposed to a budgeted amount of 14.8 million. Due to the payoff of that debt, it drove our debt service ratio up to 14.66 as opposed to 3.6 in the prior year. Our investment returns of 3.41%, which includes both our Wells Fargo sweep account and our CalTrust account, are better than the prior year of 3.15%. And this results in total cash of 69.7 million as opposed to 74.5 million in the prior year, but we have 15 million less in long-term debt at the moment due to that line of credit payoff. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aubrey. Director Martin? Director Sewell? Vice President? Thank you for taking good care of our district financially. We appreciate it.
Just one quick question, Skylar. When we're looking at cash on hand for the ending periods, that does not include any cash or any revenue that we would or possibly could receive from the fines, correct? That is true cash in hand in our bank account.
Correct. So, due to the accrual basis of accounting, we are required to recognize that as revenue, even though the cash has not been received for any of those. So really what happens is our accounts receivables are up and our revenues are up, but our cash has stayed the same. Our cash will go up on whatever we do collect on those penalties in the future.
So the 74.5 million that we had last year minus 15 million to pay off the line of credit would have got us to around 60, but we're still at 69. I just wanted to make sure that my addition and subtraction were lining up to show that we still have more cash than we had last year. Perfect. Thank you.
That is correct. Results are positive and favorable. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Public Affairs next.
Yes. And standing in for Assistant General Manager Marion Champion will be April Scott. April?
Good afternoon, President Duff and members of the board. Today I have a short presentation that highlights some of the work of the Public Affairs Office in the past month. And as always, additional information is available in your packet. I will try to make this short since this is a long meeting. MSWD sponsored and participated in a variety of events during the last month. Some of the more notable events included the California Association of Public Information Officers Conference. Highlights to that conference, heavy on AI information, responsible use of AI, where the direction that it's going and what that means for public communicators. Also, Public Affairs joined a Leadership Coachella Valley panel discussion representing Mission Springs Water District on civic communications and leadership messaging, alongside esteemed colleagues from the City of Palm Springs and the City of Palm Desert. We also attended the annual Women's Club Ice Cream Social Student Scholarship event and hosted a booth at the second annual City of Desert Hot Springs Day of the Child event. I would also be remiss if I didn't highlight the GCVCC, the Chamber Honors, Annual Installation Dinner and Business Awards. We had a wonderful day hosting a booth at the water tasting at the DHS Recreation Center for the city's Day of the Child event. During the free event, we were able to share our award-winning water, hand out coloring books about saving water and dangers of flushing wipes or other items. Families had the opportunity to explore community resources available to them, enjoy summer activity demonstrations, as well as play games and other fun hands-on activities. I'm also happy to share that MSWD was very honored to be awarded the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber West Valley Organization of the Year award at the annual Greater Coachella Valley Chamber Installation and Business Awards dinner. President Duff accepted the award on our behalf. The special evening celebrated the installation of the 2026 Board of Directors for both of the regional and local chambers and recognized outstanding local businesses and community leaders making a lasting impact throughout the Coachella Valley. We also focused on Water Awareness Month in May. We celebrated with informative conservation-focused messaging, encouraging customers to reduce water usage through smart controllers, turf replacement, and fixing leaks, transitioning out of the leak campaign to the summer conservation campaign that launches the end of June. Having run through May, the You Can Report posted our article about Water Awareness Month, where we have had taken the opportunity to highlight and promote our rebate offerings. We were pleased to see that the You Can Report also picked up the California Water Environment Association State Honor Story, which was shared on the website and through all the You Can Report social media pages. As we move into summer, we have several events coming up. The DHS Women's Club annual planning meeting for the upcoming season, the MSWD Livestream Blood Drive, which will take place here in the boardroom June 24th, the DBVA Anniversary Membership Appreciation Party, Aqua Region 9 event, and various annual conferences. And one of my, and I think our whole department's favorite parts of our job is the youth education programs. And it's that time of year. We wished our Desert Hot Springs high school seniors a happy graduation by sharing a banner that was hung on the ceremony field congratulating them on their accomplishment. It's always sad to see our former interns move on, but we're so proud of them. We also are happy to announce that we have our next round of Real Academy interns starting this month on June 29th. The interns will be working with wastewater, public affairs, IT, and a hybrid of field services and water production. Also, this week, Public Affairs will continue our tradition of water education days at the Desert Hot Springs Recreation Center Kids Camp, starting this week on Wednesday, with fun activities and an ice cream treat. And we're going to return again in July. Just a reminder, we are still accepting sewer prepayments. MSWD sent letters to all of our wastewater customers, allowing them to prepay their sewer bills to avoid them being placed on their property taxes. Since the mailer went out May 4th, our customer service team has been very busy. They've processed cash and credit card payments, and we promoted this through all of our social media platforms, paid digital advertising, and highlighted the program in our May newsletter. Since last month, the customer service team has processed roughly 576 payments. They've been very, very busy. I do want to highlight this month's Water Matters newsletter. In June, we are highlighting the 2025 Annual Water Quality Report, tips and tricks to keep your landscape healthy and conserve water this summer with irrigation tips, and the Help to Others program, reminding customers that bill assistance is available, especially as the heat picks up and bills start to rise. And lastly, I'm happy to share that the 2025 Annual Water Quality Report, CCR, Consumer Confidence Report, has been completed. It is off to print. Beginning June 30th, customers will start receiving copies in their mailboxes and can also view the report online in both English and Spanish on our website. Although copies of the report in English are being mailed to customers, people can request a physical copy in Spanish by stopping by our lobby to pick one up or by calling customer service to request a copy be mailed to them. And that is my report. Any questions?
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Had big shoes to fill.
We appreciate all the hard work your department does every day.
Thank you.
All right.
Madam President, your mic, please.
Thank you so much. I was saying how much I appreciate everything the Public Affairs Department does every day. General Manager, anything further on the General Manager's report?
Yes, just three quick things. As you know, CVWD's board voted to rescind their letter of intent. Therefore, we did reach out to the Department of Water Resources Finance Division and rescind our consolidation loan application. I know that I sent the board, when there was a question regarding the budget, an email to our accounting team thanking them for the Tyler integration. I just would also want to thank the board for your continued support of our upgrades and everything, because as much as our staff has been working to make sure that we're trying to be as efficient as we can, it's without your support, we wouldn't be able to get those types of infrastructure upgrades and things like that. And lastly, I just wanted to remind everyone the Region 9 event that April mentioned, July 17th. It is on a Friday from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. We will be providing transportation to and from that event, and the pre-registration ends on July 2nd. For those that are interested. And I know Director Martin, you'll be there as a member of that board as well. So just if you have any interest in going, let us know so we can make sure we get the pre-registration done. That concludes our report.
Thank you so much. That brings us, any questions for the General Manager? Okay. And that brings us to Director's comments and requests for future agenda items, either general, future agenda, or future meeting requests. Director Martin?
Yeah. Receiving the initial agenda.
Director Martin, your mic, please.
Sorry. After receiving the agenda items for these two meetings a couple of weeks ago and finding out it was 1,476 pages, I'm very impressed with how efficient you guys presented the information during this board meeting. And the really good job staff did putting that together. That was a lot of work. And I really want to congratulate staff on doing so.
Thank you very much. Anything, Director Stoll?
Just thank you to you for running a very efficient but long meeting. I think you beat my record that I ever had. But just thank you to everyone, the staff, the board. Even in these meetings that go long and we get tired, maybe we still really work together. And I just appreciate being part of the team.
Thank you for your support as always. Vice President?
So when I look at this water supply assessment, what hit me is how many of these have we done, which is quite a number of them for potential developments. But in all of them, I don't see, and maybe there isn't, is there a repository of approved projects that have water supply assessments? Because we go based on projections, right? But what I don't see is how many projects are using those same projections. So how much of that is already kind of spoken for? And I'm not necessarily looking for a definitive answer, but I think it's something that we might want to think about. Are we keeping track of something so we can say, hey, just so you know, this is what we've got?
So in reality, when we're looking at the urban water management plan, that does lay out, the projected growth and things of that nature and meeting that expected growth. So we do monitor that from that perspective, but more particularly in the groundwater sustainability when we're doing the alternate plan and with the 2 consecutive 25-year droughts, and we're looking 50 years out, that's also a telltale sign of where we are in that process, and we're still being able to meet the demands that we expect. Also, if you think about the master plan that we did for water and sewer, that projected everything out to 2045. We showed that we have an adequate water supply and sewer capacity at the current process that we are in where we are in each project and each upgrade. So from that perspective, while you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 year updates based on the urban water management plan, there are multiple different studies that we look at to make sure that we can cover and meet our expectations. Not to mention, none of them had the conservation as a way of life that's supposed to then shave off some of that demand as well. So we do take all of those things into account when we're accepting these water supply assessments. So
thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President. I had one thing, speaking of conservation as a way of life, I would like to see us have a workshop at some point in the next few months that would give an update to the board and to the public about what we are doing to contest the percentage of reduction that our community is being asked to make for conservation as a way of life. I know that staff has been working with the state to reevaluate how they came up with that figure that we all 100% disagree with. So I just would like to be able to update the whole board on all of those processes that the staff is going in so that we're all on the same page. And I would like the public to be able to see the fight that we are in for their benefit.
we'll definitely put that on a future workshop.
Thank you so much. And with that, I have nothing further. Does anyone else have anything further? And is there anyone online that has their hand raised or has any final comments?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. With that, I will adjourn this very lengthy meeting. Thank you for everyone's participation and patience.